There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
Maui Nui is on a mission to help balance axis deer populations for the good of our environment, communities, and food systems on the island of Maui. They've shared over 126,000 pounds of nutrient-dense protein with the Maui community. Secure your spot now. Become a snack subscriber and join in helping to build more resilient food and ecosystems on Maui. Visit MauiNuiVenison.com. That's MAUINUI venison.com and use promo code BEAR for 20% off your first order.
I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the old ceremonial hunting tradition of eating the heart out of the first animal you kill. Meat from those organs are among the most nutrient-rich foods on the planet. You can get those same benefits your ancestors craved via convenient daily capsules from Heart and Soil. Find out more at heartandsoil.co. And remember, use code MeatEater for 10% off your purchase.
My name is Clay Newcomb, and this is a production of the Bear Grease podcast called The Bear Grease Render, where we render down, dive deeper, and look behind the scenes of the actual Bear Grease podcast. Presented by FHF Gear, American-made, purpose-built hunting and fishing gear that's designed to be as rugged as the places we explore.
Okay, guys, I'd like to read y'all a little something here, okay? In the spring, these woods are flooded in waves by legions of hunters that are cut from a different cloth, a breed born into an obsession otherwise never seen. For those sacred few weeks of the year, their state of mind shifts seemingly overnight. They carry themselves differently. They become difficult to get in touch with and eventually speak only when spoken to. Jobs are lost, relationships fade, and health becomes an afterthought. Within the eyes of a turkey hunter, beneath the stains of bloodshot that grow with every passing day, there is an inevitable restlessness building by the hour. Some are admired, some are hated. Neither of them care. They know the costs of this lifestyle are to be paid up front, are due time and time again, and are exchanged for a single chance. But to them, to us, it's worth it. People know a real turkey hunter when they see one. And the book goes on. This is that was.
Oh, Hunter's he's got a way with words, doesn't he?
That was the first couple paragraphs of a book I've got in my hand here called "The Ballad of a Turkey Hunter" by Hunter Ferrier. You guys know Hunter?
I do. We both know him. He's a friend.
Mississippi guy.
Yep.
Young guy. Like
Raymond, Mississippi.
30-something.
Our age.
Yeah, he's right around our age. Yep.
Yeah, our age.
Yeah.
Does that include me?
Mine and Jordan's
How
age.
old are you, Clay?
And
I'm
Isaac's
43.
age.
Man, he's our age.
How old are you guys?
I'm 33.
Okay.
31.
Okay. I got a decade on you.
Yeah.
Man, so before this started, I was, well, let me introduce my guests. We've got Lake Pickle, the famed
One and only
Lake Pickle. It's great to have you, man.
Slightly overstated, but yeah.
He's got to be the only person named that in the United States.
Yeah, have you met another Lake Pickle?
I've met another Lake. In my lifetime, I've met 3 other individuals named Lake, but never met another Lake Pickle.
Would you have met the other guy's named Lake if your name wasn't Lake?
One of them, yes. The other 2 were like, "Hey, you got to meet this other person named Lake," and I was like, "That's fair. Not too many."
And your
of us.
dad named you Lake after he was a bass fisherman.
He was and is an obsessed bass fisherman, and that's where the name Lake came from.
Okay. My wife just yesterday said that she thinks Lake Pickle is the most unique name she's ever heard.
Well, I mean, probably. I think I haven't met another one. So
I don't know if I've told you this, but when we came down last year to meet you, I just assumed it was your Instagram name. And then when I met you in person, I was like, no, he's
not joking.
Yeah.
He took on his handle as his real name.
Yeah.
There was a guy.
Oh, you got to answer it. Answer it.
Hey, Will.
Was that turkey hanging from some kind of leather strap by his spur?
Did you? He was, well, a little bit of both. He was hanging by that leather strap.
Everybody, Will Primos is just called Lake Pickle. Tell Will he's on the Bear Grease podcast.
Will, you're currently on the Bear Grease podcast. We were recording and you called, so I answered.
Well, good. You can tell them people on that podcast that the real test for a limb hanger, you have to grease the spur with bear grease, and then you put them on.
All right.
On that limb with that bear grease, he's a show-enough limb hanger. You tell my friend Clay I said, hey, see you bye.
Okay. How could you have a podcast in Mississippi start any better than this? To have Will Primos show up in the midst of the podcast.
Should we just shut it down now?
Yeah, we're done. This is done.
This day just keeps getting
Keep
better,
the wild
man.
places wild. Oh, man. So Lake Pickle, which most people know Lake from the years that he worked at Primos.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now you work for Onyx.
I do. Yeah, it's been about a year. Yeah, because the first time you and I went turkey hunting was right when I started that transition to Onyx.
Yeah.
So
that's great. Yeah. To your right is Isaac Neale, Bear Grease assistant to the regional producer. Isaac Neale. Good to have you, Isaac.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, man.
We've had a heck of a 24 hours.
We have.
Not even 24 hours.
We have. To your right, Jordan Blissett.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
Man, I'm wonderful. I couldn't be any better today, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming people kind of get the gist of what's going on after Will's conversation.
Yeah. Now, Jordan, I would have known you from Primos too, which you don't work at Primos now. You tell me what you're doing now.
Pretty much just doing real estate, and I also help people get healthy. So, doing two things at once.
Yeah, but you met Lake, and that's where I would have known your face and voices from some of the Primos stuff.
Lake and I worked together at Primos for 6 years doing the True Series there, and traveled all over the place, and just became best of buddies.
Yeah.
So
and what's the name of the realty company?
Open Season Properties.
And that factors into where we are right now.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's kind of why we have access to hunt this place. So what we do is we specialize in like recreation tracts, like developing, you name it. I mean, everything to do with hunting land, we pretty much do it. And like the place we're on right now is part of our brokerage, and it's eventually going to be, up for sale for somebody else looking for a recreation place.
Clay,
Unless. I'll tell you what, let's go in 4 ways.
Yeah,
we got to buy this place.
After this morning, Clay may want it.
Much more than a couple million.
Well, I claim squatters' rights. Can you describe the room that we're in right now, Clay?
Yeah,
or the building, or the.
So this house that we're staying in is on the National Historic Register of Historic Places.
Yep.
There's a sign. There's a little plaque out there, and so the house was built.
1870.
That's what it says established. Now, the actual house may have been built for that before they. Right. I don't know exactly the whole history on it. I just know it's been here for a minute.
Yeah. So it's an old but beautiful, well taken care of house. This room that we're in is it's all wood, all dark wood. I feel like it's probably pine that's been stained. Could be wrong, but it has very immaculate trim work. Yeah. Very unique. Immaculate trim work, even on the ceilings, and there's an old fireplace.
It's almost akin to like a gingerbread house, not that girly, but like that ornate.
Yeah,
there's just woodwork everywhere.
Yeah, and big bookshelf, duck decoys, deer, old guns. Yeah, it's a great turkey camp.
I'm assuming this was the man room. This is in my mind. I imagine I can envision somebody sitting over on that couch smoking a cigar, talking about the turkey hunt.
Yeah. We were out here last week, and we had never been inside this thing, and we were starting to put this hunt together for you to come down here. And I was like, Jordan, is that house even livable? He's like, I don't know. I ain't been inside. And we walk inside, and we see this big wooden room and all the stuff on the wall, and then there's a painting of a bear and her cubs running out of a cabin. And I was like, yeah, Clay will like this place just fine.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredible.
And then that picture right there behind you, got what's that? Two grizzlies looking at a hunter.
It's fly fishing.
Fisherman.
Oh,
Yeah, fly.
Okay.
Out fly fishing.
He's being watched.
Yeah, there's some classic art in this place too. Really is.
It's pretty unique. All across the board. The place, the ground, the house, all of it.
Okay, I got a question. I'll start with you, Lake, and
Okay.
then I'll come back to you, Jordan.
All right.
Of all the years working at Primos, traveling with Will and all the guys, what is, if you had one story to tell, that would be the most memorable story of traveling and hunting? Let's just say with Will.
Okay.
What would it be?
So this is just one that popped right in my head. It was my first spring at Primos. And when I started at Primos, I started like right at the beginning. So it was elk and deer season and waterfowl season first. And I started as like contract work, and I didn't know if I was they were kind of keeping me on as a trial basis. And like my whole goal, because what kind of hooked me into watching Will and being a Primos fan growing up was spring turkeys. That was like everything. And so I was like, man, I hope they just like me enough to keep me through at least one spring. I just wanted to do one spring with Primos. And so I made it through deer season and into January, and the executive producer, John Gibson at the time, called me. He's like, hey, we'd love to use you through spring if you're interested. I was like, yup. And so the end of spring, I really hadn't got to hunt with Will that much at all. And they put together this hunt right around the 1st of May to New Mexico. And it was going to be me, Wilbur, and Brad Ferris, if I remember correctly. And I got so excited because I remember watching, from being like a kid growing up in central Mississippi, I would watch these videos of Will hunting in these big, just majestic mountains and these big white fan Merriam turkeys. And it just was like, it seemed just like almost fantasy-like to me, like something that wasn't attainable. And they scheduled this trip, and next thing I know, I'm in a truck with Wilbur and Brad, and we're driving out there. And we go out there the first morning, and we get in some turkeys, and I'm just hearing these Merriams. I mean, we all know how Merriams sound in those mountains, just blah, 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 just echoing the cross, and I'm just completely lost in the moment. And I think it was the second day that we ended up killing one, but it was, I'm going to say early afternoon, probably like 2 o'clock. We spotted this turkey. He was he was actually in an old, like a wildfire had come through that place from a strike of lightning. And so he was in that old burn. And we circle around, we get up above him, yelp, and the turkey gobbles immediately. And we scramble and we sit down, and classic Wilbur, he's shooting like this old side-by-side shotgun with hammers on it. Just Wilbur loves his old school stuff. But the turkey answers and immediately starts coming, and I just see this white fan break, and there's this big, beautiful mountains behind him in the background, and I just remember being just completely lost in the moment. Turkey comes in, gets to 20 yards, Wilbur shoots him, and he goes out there, he gets the turkey, and he's standing there looking at Will and Brad, and I'm videoing, and I just remember just having this surreal moment of like, how in the world did I end up here? How did I end up in mountains with Will Primos and Brad Ferris? I just felt like I didn't know how I got there. I didn't feel like I deserved to be there. It was just all these mix of emotions, and we get through video, and I'll never forget it. We're standing there.
Hit record.
No, I hit record. I did hit record.
I thought that was going to be the punchline.
No. It's a little bit more, I guess, heartstring pulling than that. We're standing there, and we're done filming everything, and Will says, "Wait a minute," and I was like, "What?" He said, "We're going to give thanks before we leave right here." So Wilbur laid that turkey down. Me and Brad and Will stood in a circle, took our hats off, and prayed right there. And I'm not emotional, but I'm not necessarily an emotional person. But I don't know. It was just like I got just welled up because the moment was too much for me, But he sat there and was like, "We got to give thanks," and he said a prayer, and then back down the mountain we went.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that wasn't on film.
No, it was not.
I mean, that wasn't an act for the camera.
That was just Will being Will.
Will being Will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Jordan, what about you? Most memorable thing?
Man,
I'm hoping for like a train wreck story.
No, I mean
This one was so good. This was enough like meat on the bones, sentiment, heartfelt, like spiritual. So
man, the first thing that came to my mind was a turkey hunt with Will. We had a county south of here, probably 45 minutes south of where we're at right now. And Will called me. It was a weekday. He called me the afternoon before because he knew I'd been chasing some turkeys out there on the national forest. He's like, hey, if you got time in the morning, you want to go with me? And we'll try to film a hunt. I got permission to hunt this place over here in Madison County. Like, heck yeah, let's go. And it was my first spring. No, it was my second spring at Primos. Mm-hmm. And, man, I hadn't got to actually sit and hunt with Will just like one-on-one. It's usually like a group deal, 3 or 4 of us going. And like this was pressure, like trying to video, but at the same time, it wasn't like we were 2 states away and trying under like a deadline. And we get out there that morning, and he had been hunting these turkeys a couple of days by himself, and he was like, man, I think I got them somewhat figured out. We ought to try to video it. And we get in here, it's just beautiful hardwood and big old growth pine stand. I mean, Lake's been on the place, and it's just gorgeous timber. I mean, it looks like a park. And we get in there that morning and didn't hear the turkeys where he thought they'd be, so we just go to start, walking around and prospecting a little bit. And we finally get about a quarter mile, half mile where he thought they should be, and we yelp, and one answers us. All right, well, we get closer to him and get in a spot where we think we can yelp him up without him seeing us. We didn't have any decoys this particular morning, so we were just like us and the turkey, right? And this turkey, man, it went on for 2 hours. He was standing his ground. We were standing ours. We did some silent treatment on him, got aggressive with him, yelping, and he never would break. And finally, we decided, okay, we're going to go quiet for 30 minutes, which is hard for me and Will because we like yelping.
Especially Wilbur.
Yes. And every time he reached down there, he told me, he's like, hey, don't let me yelp. And he told me to look at my clock on my phone, like, okay, I don't remember what time it was. Just say it's like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Friends don't let friends yell too much.
Yeah. He said, look at time. What time is it? I was like, it's 9 o'clock. All right, we ain't yelping until 9:30. And anyway, it worked. The gobbler finally cut some distance on us and gobbled. And after that, we answered him, and he got fired up and started coming. Then he went quiet on us, and it's just like that anticipation part of it. And we're looking up this ridge, expecting him to come down this finger to us, and he can shoot the top of it if he comes over and looks down. So to kind of paint the picture of what the scenario is, and there's another finger, like we're sitting on the side of a bowl. There's another finger comes down to our left, and we're sitting there. I mean, Will's got his gun up. We're both just scanning everywhere, just expecting this thing to pop up any second. And to our left, we hear, it was a gobbler yelping. And he comes running down this hill yelping at us instead of gobbling. The first time I'd ever seen that. I've heard about it, but usually expect a gobbler to fire off and be gobbling. But he's yelping looking for the hen. And anyway, the turkey comes down there, and Wilbur shoots him. And the excitement that I got to witness that morning and the passion, we used the quote that he had that morning in so many videos since then. It's a soundbite. I don't remember exactly how it went, but if you've listened to any of the truth openings on the YouTube channel that you've heard, we'll talk about what he said that morning. But the biggest thing that stood out to me and will forever be remembered is he, after he said thanks to the Lord for it happening that morning, he was like, man, I sure do love this. And I was like, I do too, Wilbur. And we just sat there and talked about that turkey for 30 minutes afterwards. And this one of those deals, growing up in the South, I mean, Will Primos might as well be Elvis to a turkey hunter.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Sitting there with him talking about that hunt, and that's one of those deals I'll never forget. Just like, I've made it.
Yeah.
My dreams have came true right here.
Yeah.
Got to yelp at a turkey with Will, and we killed him and just celebrated it.
Yeah.
So that was one that stuck out to me.
It is something to see with Wilbur, because I mean, think about how much he's turkey hunted since he started, especially since he started doing the video stuff. And Jordan, like, nothing about what Jordan said was embellished. There's been times we'd be hunting around here, and we'd be going all day, walk however many miles, and we finally hear a turkey, and Wilbur just turns into a different human being, just gets giddy. He just gets so excited. And it's to see someone like that just get that fired up, it's contagious.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, the thing about, and I've not spent a lot of time around Will, but I did get to hunt with him last spring with you, Lake, and everybody's always wondering, well, I wonder what he's like off camera. You know, people ask that about people that they know from media some way, and they're like, well, but what's he like when nobody's around? And Will Primos I like Will Primos better off camera than on camera. I mean, he's just a passionate, genuine, caring guy that just is not, we talked about this last night, is not concerned with fame.
No.
Like it really, you hear people say stuff like that and you're kind of like, really? But I saw it. I have a couple of stories that it's like he was not interested in being famous. And that's why he's so authentic. But he is uniquely passionate about life and not just about turkeys. That's what I saw behind the scenes with Will Primos. Is he's a passionate businessman. He's passionate about just anything he's doing. Hyper passionate about it. Isaac, what's your favorite Will Primos story?
Well, I have very few of them. No, we came down and recorded that podcast with him last year, and that was just about the only interaction I've had. Other than I saw him this year at NWTF, and he was making tracks.
Well, he made an impression on me and you when we were here for that podcast. We talked about him the whole way home.
Yeah, that guy, he just has such a galvanizing personality. Like, you just want to be on his team and pull in the same direction as him.
Yeah.
It's truly remarkable.
And these guys have told us both this morning how much Will has helped them to Will's detriment. Like he's not just trying to get a bunch of people doing stuff that
he's been one of those people that come into your life and just a positive influence that wants to help you. Genuinely wants you to win.
Yeah.
This is a super short story about Will, but it's just shows his character.
No, you only had one.
Oh yeah. He calls me one morning during the summer, not hunting season. He calls me on Saturday and he says, "Hey, I got some stuff going on at the house. Can you come help me?" And this was not abnormal. I was like, "Sure, yeah." So I ride over there, knock on his door, expecting we're doing something in his garden or in his barn. And he says, "Hey, come inside." I'm like, "Okay." And he says, "You want any coffee?" I'm like, "Sure." And he's like, "All right, go in my office. Just sit down." At this point, I'm like, "What are we doing?" You know,
am I about to get fired?
Yeah, am I in trouble? But I go in there his office. I'm sitting there with coffee. He walks in. He sits down in the chair across from me, and he says, "Hey, man, I was at the office this week, and I could tell something was bothering you. I don't know if it's work. I don't know if it's personal, but me and you, we're going to sit in here. We're going to talk about it till we figure it out because I don't like seeing you that way." It's just Wilbur.
Wow. So what happened? we want the deets, man.
Oh, man.
I'm kidding. No, that's a great story.
It's pretty. Yeah, that's a pretty remarkable experience to have with a boss.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Well, so we're right in the middle of every year on Bear Grease at this time of year. We focus on turkeys, and so we've now had 2 turkey stories podcasts, and I love those because you just get to hear. I love hearing people tell stories. People that are passionate about what they're doing, that are really knowledgeable, and because you everybody that tells a story is gonna do something different. The way they saw things happen, what they emphasize, what they don't emphasize is always so interesting to me. But now you listened to that first one. Was there a story that stood out to you on that one, or you just thought was funny, or you thought was good?
Probably the guy was, I can't remember the man's name, but he was telling the story about the turkey coming in, and he crawled up on the knoll, and all he could see was the top of his fan. That I like that. And then he has a video. said he had a video of a turkey gobbling and his foot was touching his boot.
Oh, okay, that was in the render. That was
on the render.
Steve
Yeah.
Phillips. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was hunting with maybe his grandson.
Yeah.
And he was up above, and he could see this turkey so good, but there's a little mound of dirt, and his little boy couldn't see the turkey. All he could see was the top of the fan. So when he shoots, Steve said the turkey was just like 6 or 7 feet,
Yeah.
and it was a different turkey that stepped on his foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get that video from him.
I was hoping that when I heard that, I was like, man, I hope they got that video.
Yeah.
Probably you're right. The one on the actual Turkey Stories podcast, the one where he was listening to his granddad and he kept calling his granddad.
Coy House. Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, his granddad is Steve, the guy who.
Yeah.
Well, that was it's all the same vein there.
Yeah.
But let's tell our story. So we came down here. Isaac and I came down, kind of last minute deal, and we were going to hunt 2 days in Mississippi. But it turns out we only needed one.
When you got good guides.
We only needed a couple hours.
Yeah.
So it's today is March 30th.
Yep.
Last day of March, and there 31 days of March.
I think so.
Today the 31st.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's the 31st.
Hang on. I got to consult the calendar.
Today's the 30th.
Today's
Tomorrow-
the 30th.
Yeah, tomorrow's
Yeah.
the
Couple
31st.
days till April.
Because
Yep.
Texas
The-
opens on the
it's
1st, and we're supposed to leave
Green
tomorrow.
up. Mississippi is very green right
Yep,
now.
Very much so.
Turkeys are really starting to gobble good.
I think I sat in a good patch of poison ivy this morning.
Yeah, probably did.
Yeah.
And a little bit about the spring, man. It came early. Like
Yes.
our spring, it started greening up here in February, which is abnormal. Usually,
Really?
right now, it's starting to oak trees are starting to blossom, and you're
Right.
having little small leaves on them, and they're full foliage right
Did we
now.
pass a field with corn sprouting in it yesterday?
Yeah, we passed a field yesterday with probably 5 or 6 inch tall
Yeah,
corn that had been planted.
they started planting corn this year, like mid-February.
Everything feels in the woods. Everything feels about 2 weeks ahead.
Okay.
For sure.
Now, see, up in northwest Arkansas, I would say we're relatively on track. Like it is not leaf out yet. The red buds have popped. Some of the faster blooming trees, the maples, and some of those are starting to put out leaves, but the oaks are holding tight.
Gotcha.
So it's still about right up there. We're probably a little early,
Yeah.
but
It's set up. It's been a fantastic couple weeks of
It's been
Mississippi
wild.
Open of turkey season. Usually it's kind of slow, henned up super bad, like hard to deal with. Turkeys don't gobble a whole lot, but it's been lights out since opening.
you told me how many days you've hunted and how many turkeys you've seen killed this year.
That's not normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will you tell me how many?
I think this morning it's either 19 or 20 days. We started early March in Florida and have been going just about every day since then, and excluding the travel days. And it's been, I think, best I can remember, I've seen 13 turkeys get shot at since March the 8th or 9th. So it's been pretty stout.
Like you've seen.
This would have been day. I think George's got a few days and a few turkeys on me. I think this is day 15 or 16, and this is the 11th turkey I've seen get shot or
That's
shot
incredible, man.
at. Yeah, it's been a very good spring.
Ready to win Mother's Day and cement your reputation as the best gift giver in the family? Give the moms in your life an Aura digital picture frame preloaded with decades of family photos. She'll love looking back on these memories and seeing what you're up to today. Even better, with unlimited storage and an easy-to-use app, you can keep updating mom's frame with new photos, so it's the gift that keeps on giving. And this is not a joke. Juju Newcomb has an Aura frame, and we share photos, and they're incredible. Also, my mother-in-law has one. We have them. They truly are really good, really high quality. The Aura frame is easy to set up. It takes just 2 minutes to set up a frame using the Aura app. It also adjusts the display depending on light levels in the room to maintain the true color of your photos. For real, the digital screen is amazing. Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $30 off plus free shipping on their best-selling frame when you use code BEAR, B-E-A-R, BEAR. That's auraframes.com. Use code BEAR at checkout to save. Terms and conditions apply.
I've had a Helix Sleep mattress for over 2 years, and it is for sure the nicest mattress that I've ever slept on. I've slept much better in the last 2 years, been more comfortable than I have for my whole life, and that's true. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Luxe Collection, the newly released Helix Elite Collection, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and even a mattress made just for kids. Take the Helix Sleep Quiz and find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes, and your personalized mattress is shipped straight to your door free of charge. Helix has several different mattress models to choose from, each designed for specific sleep positions and feel preferences. Helix is offering 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/clay and use the code HelixPartner20. This is their best offer yet and won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. The old-timers say that the turkeys start gobbling when the leaves are as big as squirrels' ears and the red buds start popping. And we're about there, and we are there in the South. The Onyx Hunt app is one of my most valuable tools in the spring woods. With tools like coniferous versus deciduous tree distribution layer, you can save time by locating edges or transition areas of mixing habitats from home. Find an area like this with water in close proximity, and more than likely, there will be a gobbling turkey nearby. Knowing the exact boundaries of private ground ensures I stay on the right side of the fence, but can easily find public ground to go see if I can't strike a gobbler. If you do get one to sound off, using compass mode and waypoints will help you pinpoint his exact location, allowing you to move in and make the perfect setup to bring him right into your lap. Download the Onyx Hunt app today. You'll be glad you did. Onyx has a special offer for you. Use code BEARGREASE to receive 20% off your membership at onyxmaps.com/hunt this spring.
Which one of y'all wants to tell this story or get it started?
Well, so it starts yesterday because I was out. I came out here yesterday evening. Prior, I was like, man, if I can get a roost gobble, like find something in the evening, awesome. And granted, I typically don't have the best of luck getting them to gobble on a limb in the evening, but I was going to be out here, so I was like, I might as well try. And Jordan was up on another piece of the property scouting around, and I walked in about where we walked in this morning, and was originally going to go up higher on the, well, I call it a hill. You probably don't call it a hill.
People out there, it's not a hill. It's not even remotely close to a hill.
What do you call it?
It would be like a slight incline.
Well, I was going to go up higher on the slight incline, and I said, man, I better check, make sure I don't bump anything. And I just owled a single note, and he gobbled, and I was like, there's no way. And that ended up being, not to prep, the set of turkeys we set between this morning. It was the single turkey up the slight incline.
So only one of them. So this morning, well, where you were last night, you heard one gobble on the roost. We sat in there this morning, and I'm not trying to rush your story. I'm trying to make a connection between how many might gobble on the roost versus how many are actually there.
Right. Yeah. And Jordan and I talked about that because, again, we have hunted this property previously, and we knew there was a lot more than one.
Just one
turkey.
time, though.
Yes. Yeah. But there was a lot of turkeys. And and so I was like, man, I heard one answer me, but the chances are there's more than that in there. And then sure enough, like right when we got in there, we heard all of them. And what we had was one single gobbler over here, and then down by the drain, there was 3 or 4 wadded together still. And the game plan this morning was to try to get down by the creek and basically situate ourselves in between the two turkeys, thinking they would converge at some point.
Yeah.
Was the original game plan.
Did they converge?
They indeed did not converge, Isaac. I'm glad you asked that question. It would have been too easy if they did,
So we get out there, right at gobbling time. We may not have heard his first gobble. Maybe he gobbled before we got there.
I would think so.
It was a little, when we walked outside and there was light in the sky, I was like, oh, shoot. Yeah. But it wasn't a big deal. We were there way before fly down time. Right. Owl, maybe on the second owl, we heard him gobble. moved into probably 150 yards of the turkey.
Yeah.
We're kind of in between these two groups of turkeys. And then what happened?
We went to battle.
That's right. That's right.
We started. I mean, we started kind of when we thought it was like right on the verge of fly down time. We decided to let them know that we were there. Just yelp a little bit, and they were keen to answer us at first. But and Jordan, like, tell me if I'm wrong. The wad of turkeys, like pretty quickly, I was like, if they're gonna come our direction, and it's not gonna be anytime quick. Like, they were very obviously keen with whatever they had going on.
Yeah, and from hunting in here last week, we pretty sure everybody's got hens over there because it was a pile of hens in there last week when we hunted. And my theory on the way when I started yelping and why I did it when I did it was, hey, the first hen on the ground, kind of with this much competition, you may get a early looker come in there, thinking, okay, I'm finna go meet Betty over here earlier than everybody else is. So
yeah,
that's I started yelping. I did a fly down, like multiple turkeys flying down, and just trying to paint a picture of that gobbler sitting up on the ridge. It's like, man, I didn't know them hens were down there last night, but apparently they are. I'm hearing them fly down, hearing them yelp.
Jordan had a wing, like a real turkey wing, or at least it was real turkey feathers.
Yeah, it's a wing actually off of a gobbler. I actually cut it down so it doesn't make a big gobbler commotion. It's smaller, so it sounds like a hen.
Yeah, so he and then did the fly down cackle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was you that did that.
Jordan and I, we've hunted together enough.
It was like a symphony.
We kind of we can be like, we just spent so much time together in the woods. Like, we can be separated 15 yards and just be looking at each other's eyes through our mask and kind of know what the other one's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, he was flying down, I was but again, like what Jordan said, like, there's obviously a lot of excitement going on already because there's multiple turkeys, and it's like if you try to make it seem like there's, a couple different hens flying down, then they may drift over. But that didn't happen.
Yeah, so we sat there for probably 30-plus minutes. Really, probably 30, maybe 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And a bird kind of acted like he was going to come our way, but then it just never materialized. We still heard these birds
We swung
lower
around at one point.
Yeah, because the single turkey started showing some interest, and we thought he may come our direction, but he didn't.
Didn't.
Yeah. And then, so we move. We make a move across the creek. Jordan, when he gets across the creek, lets off a very aggressive, really good sounding owl hoot. Let us hear your owl. Will you owl for us?
And I don't want to break your speakers.
Man, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Hold on.
We'll get another one.
You gonna turn it down?
He better.
All right. No, I loved it. I love a good owl hoot. Let's hear it.
I mean, one note or the whole who cooks for you.
There you
either
go.
One of them,
Yeah.
Yeah, give it to us. Give us the whole.
There we go. Beautiful.
A thing of
Man, if you're from Mississippi, there's a real good chance that you're a good mouth owl hooter. It's just the truth.
I could not do it forever. And
Really?
I kept trying and trying and trying because I felt like I was incompetent if I couldn't do it with my voice.
Uh-huh.
Like, you go around with these guys that are turkey hunters, they're like, what you got that owl hooter for? Quick side note, do you know who Paul Buskey is?
No.
So Paul Buskey is like a legendary turkey caller hunter from back in the 80s, 90s. Okay. He won all kinds of world championship yelping contests. And we were in Alabama. This has been 9-10 years ago. I was filming him for Mossy Oak Show. And I had this little hoot tube made by Primos. And we were hunting these turkeys, and Paul won like hooting contests too. And I'll still rub this into his face every time I see him. We were doing the same maneuver we were this morning, like turkeys would gobble at a hoot every once in a while, and then they finally quit. And Paul's getting aggravated. They won't quit gobbling. I was like, Paul, let me try this little hooter thing. I'm telling you, they answer it. And I mean, it sounds terrible. It's like, woo, 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 woo. And the turkeys gobbled at it. And he's like, you got to learn how to do that with your voice. I was like, Paul, they gobbled at it.
Yeah.
Where'd the breakthrough come from?
I just kept trying. Just kept,
Perseverance.
I finally
So
figured
you
out
were
how to.
you were an adult when you learned to do it?
Yeah, I was pretty much an adult
You're
when
an
I started.
adult onset owl hooter.
Well, I was pretty much an adult when I started turkey hunting, period.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I didn't grow up in a turkey hunting family or around the culture. I knew people that did it, but they weren't going to take you. I mean, they keep it to themselves, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started showing interest in it, kind of self-taught / getting to go around with a lot of good people when I started in the film industry and outdoor. That's what really put fuel on my fire with turkey hunting, is getting to go with really good turkey hunters.
Sure. Yeah. So we crossed the creek, you owl, one-note owl, and they answered close, or, within 120 yards probably.
Yeah.
Like,
We'd kind of moved in on this bunch down by the creek. They answer. We sit down. We feel like it's going to be money. That situation was interesting to me because it's something you always have to deal with. But when you're setting up on a turkey, there's some things that are chosen for you and other things you get to choose. The thing chosen for you is where it happens. And in that situation, they were probably a little closer than we thought they were going to be. And we couldn't go backwards because the creek was right behind us, and we didn't want to try to call them across the creek. So, I mean, it's like, we're going to sit down right here.
You're going to sit right here.
Yeah. And so when we sat down, about 35 yards out in front of me was a very big hardwood of some variety that had fallen down, making a major obstacle. It had vines on it and brush growing up through it, and it was like probably 20 yards long of obstacle that I felt like it was for sure going to make the turkeys, if they came to us, go around the end of that thing. But I also knew, Lake Pickle, that if I anticipated them coming around the end of that they probably wouldn't.
They're going to do something else.
And I was sitting there thinking, what is this thing going to do? Because it's so obvious that if this turkey's going to show up, he's going to be right there.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's going to do something. Like, he's going to jump up on that log
Belly
and come,
crawl.
or he's going to come through the cane the cane thicket on the creek right behind us, which is like, turkeys don't do that.
Yeah.
But when you're set up, you're thinking, that's what I'm always thinking.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I think he's coming right there. He's not.
Yeah.
Even though he's gobbling that way, everything's pointing he's going to come that way. And the bird, at one point, I felt like he came maybe 30 yards closer than he was originally.
Yeah.
Which, when you're inside of like 150 yards, that amount of movement makes you can hear it. It's like, oh, he's coming closer. And to me, inside of turkey hunting, that is the most exciting part of it. Probably even more than pulling the trigger. When a bird is in range and you're pulling the trigger, to me, it's like almost panic. It's not necessarily fun. It's almost panic.
Yeah, it's stressful.
Don't mess
It's
this up.
stressful.
Don't mess this
It
up.
is.
Don't mess this up.
To me, the excitement when my heart starts to pound and I get pumped is when I hear one, ow, and then you sit there for 3 or 4 minutes and, ow,
It is closer.
and then the next time, ow, I mean, he's like, you just know he's just about to be there, and you're scanning, and then when you're half deaf like me and you can't really tell which direction they're coming from, you're scanning from as far as you can see this way to as far as you can see that way without moving your head, and then all of a sudden you catch that flicker of movement, which is usually their head, I would say.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you see that
Periscope.
you see that head just kind of bopping around, and that's when but after that, to me, it's like, oh,
Terror.
It's like, why am I even a turkey hunter?
Yeah.
What? I could have been at home,
Yeah.
sipping coffee with Misty.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I doing this? And then, hopefully it works out.
Then you shoot it and it's fine. So which way did he come
So
through?
the turkey didn't come any way through. He didn't show up, but he came a little bit closer.
Yeah.
And then Jordan had a good move. I learn stuff every time I'm hunting with good turkey hunters. I mean, I'm really paying attention to what someone else does and comparing it to what I would do. Because in any situation, you have an instinct of what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of my instinct, but I knew, I was going to do. These guys were the masters.
Well, what did you want to do?
Well, Lake, I'm not going to tell you what I want to do. That's a secret.
Curious.
No. I just thought I didn't have much of a chance to think about it before Jordan said, "Hey, we're gonna circle way around these turkeys and come in from the complete other side.
Well, the reason I ask is like the most common mistake that you see made often is like a turkey hunter just goes, "What you got to move." Like, well, let's just go to them. Just no matter what the topography or the timber is like, it's just the move is to make a move, pretty much going right at them.
Yeah,
which sometimes can work. But
if you got some cover or something.
Yeah, or even if you're aware that you can't get that close, you end up moving like 50 yards and you're essentially in the same position you were before you moved. And so you got to do something to put the odds more in your favor.
I would say that is a really great tip for people, I think, is it's like you're trying to solve a problem. You come at it from this way, it doesn't work. Well, come at it from a completely different way, see if it works. Go at it from this way, see if it works.
So in my mind, the way we were set up, like we'd been yelping at those turkeys from that direction for an hour and a half.
Yep.
They have not broke.
We've moved closer to them.
They still haven't broke. So I'm like, okay, they obviously do not want to come this way. So whether you move 40, 100 yards closer, they're not wanting to come that direction. So come in from the other side. They're drifting. They're wanting to drift that way, it sounds like anyway. So just like talked about earlier, if you get where they want to be, it's a whole lot easier to kill them.
Yeah. And so we dropped way away from the turkeys, circled around so we didn't spook them. Because I think that's something that we do as well is you'll spook birds while you're moving around on them, just thinking
for sure
that you're safe.
Well, and another thing is it's like it's easy to get complacent or lazy because we could have cut a lot more distance a lot quicker had we made a less drastic move. Like the move that we made was excessive for the spot we needed to get to, but we walked, got on the other side of that ridge where we're like, there's no way in the world.
It was just kind of a slight incline.
The slight incline. We got up on the other side of that slight incline where there's no way in the world they were going to spot us, and then closed in.
Yeah,
which makes for more walking around. But I mean,
we made an exaggerated move to make sure we didn't bump the turkeys. Mm-hmm. Came in from the other side. And the one thing that was great about the setup this morning, which I like about that property, is there's a huge just cattle pasture that borders the whole the west side of
border,
that. Yeah. And so it's a big block of woods with a huge cattle pasture on one side of it. And, they're going to use that cattle pasture. And we couldn't hunt that cattle pasture. That wasn't our land, so we could just hunt in the timber. But, most likely those turkeys aren't going to cross a half a mile through that open field and go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. If it had all been timber, if that had been if it had just been a boundary through a big, huge block of timber, I mean, they might have just kept drifting. But I felt like that field was kind of a boundary of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. A whole flock of turkeys is not just going to vacate the woods unless you run them out of there. Mm-hmm. They call that home,
Yeah.
As we made that approach, I would love an explanation of what happened. You guys heard them at one point, and I didn't hear them. The next time I heard them, but they sounded far off, and we were doing little increments where we'd stop, call, listen, edge forward.
And we were owling and crowing. We weren't yelping at them.
Yeah,
we're just trying to get them to call on their own.
Yeah, because once we made the big move, those turkeys had heard zero yelping from that direction at all.
Which is
our benefit, as long as they'll keep gobbling. I'd rather not yelp at them until you're ready to sit at a tree.
Absolutely.
Because the second you start hen yelping, then you got to start thinking. Then you don't have the luxury of, all right, can we set up? Now, like if they're gobbling at an owl or a crow, you're like, take all the time you want. Figure it out.
So this factors into what I was wondering about is we hear them, and then we make a little bit of a move, and then they sound much closer.
Mm-hmm.
That's that little foothill over there, topography change.
That slight incline.
That slight decline.
Isaac.
It's the slight incline. Okay, that explains everything.
I think they had moved a little closer, though, don't you?
A touch.
Yeah.
But no, they've stayed.
But it really was us just kind of going over that break.
They stayed within the same 50-yard circle for 2 hours, I'd say.
Were they in a creek bed or a depression or a wall or
bottom?
Yeah.
Just a hardwood little.
Not like one of those deep-sided things, but just.
I think sometimes too, to answer your question about how a turkey might sound closer,
turns
just
its head.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes a huge
Andy
difference.
Brown said it the other day on the Render podcast. He said, I like it when people can pull out nuance from something that's like very not visible.
Yeah.
And Andy said he was on this big ridge, and there was a big holler in front of him, and on the other ridge, a turkey was gobbling, and he said he could tell it was gobbling the opposite way of him, and he knew there was no way that this turkey was coming to him, and so he just took a chance and started getting fairly aggressive on the roost with this turkey.
Yeah.
Which is something he wouldn't have done, but it was just a turkey that was out of play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he said he could tell that turkey turned around on the limb and started gobbling his direction. It's just because it just got loud.
Yeah.
And then the turkey, I'm telling the story that he told on the render, the turkey flies across that valley and lands like right in his lap.
Yeah.
He kills it. But no, so yeah, sometimes just the littlest rise and make it sound
we
real
make
close.
this big long loop, and I'm not hearing much, but I don't hear great anyway. And then at the very end, it gets pretty exciting. And then at the very end, it gets find a tree right now. There's a thicket right there. Go, and it didn't slow down much from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we come totally from the opposite direction, move in. Jordan owls, they answer. We know where they're at. And when they first gobbled, we actually backed up about 20 yards, got set up in a little thicket. I did notice that you guys are pretty keen on finding a lot of cover.
You have to, because it's like cover and shade. Cover and shade is everything. Because that's why we backed up. Because like everything in front of us, because we couldn't gain a whole lot of ground before we started getting too close without them spotting us.
Yeah.
And it's like everything immediately in front of us was highlighted in the sun.
Yeah.
So it's like turn around, look for something thick, look for something shady.
Yeah.
Because you stack the odd. Like turkey hunting is a game of like putting small successes in your favor to finally get the grand result.
Incremental gains.
Yes.
And a main thing you have to remember when you decide you're going to yelp at a turkey is when he's coming, if he does decide to come, he's looking for that hen. So he is, the more obstacles he has to guess about where she's at, the better. Because it keeps him looking, keeps him moving step by step closer and closer. Because I can't tell you how many times in these big open bottoms down here, turkey comes 80 yards and he doesn't come a step closer because he can see everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's just waiting for
you
that.
want him to come looking.
Yeah. And that's also the reason you got to be hyper still.
Hyper still. That's the reason why we had the luxury, because we had enough folks. Jordan could drop back further.
Yep.
So, because that, like, to Jordan's point, like the same reason, if I was doing the primary yelping, if you notice, like when we made that set, I didn't yelp one time because I was like, they were close enough and we were on a good setup enough. It's like, if I go to yelping, those turkeys are going to be, look, where are they at? Why am I not seeing a hen right there?
Yeah. I can hear a hen right there. I can see right there. I'm out of here.
That's why I was like, Jordan being 70 yards back is what we need because they'll come through us.
Were you that far behind us? You
About
were
50 or
Were you
40
really?
probably. But the reason it took me a minute to get set down, I looked at 2 or 3 different trees back there to sit by. And the reason I picked the one I did is because it was thick right behind me and to my left. Also, that little foothill fell off just enough for where I'm sitting at a turkey's level, like not standing up. But if I'm a hen's height, I can't see but about 40 yards. So a gobbler approaching, well, from the yelping coming from, he has to get to 40 yards to be able to see where the yelping's coming from.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the reason I decided to sit behind y'all and a little bit over your left shoulder, is so he'd have to be in gun range to see where I was yelping from.
Man, and so it ends up working great because the turkeys had gobbled at an owl. We get set up, and
we get set up facing north, right?
Mm-hmm.
The field's on our left side.
Yep.
I'm 25 yards from the field edge.
Yep.
I can see into the field, but we're not thinking the field is the worst case scenario here.
Yeah, we can't shoot over there
because we can't shoot over there. And if a bird gets in that field and starts strutting to a hen that he thinks is in the woods and it's going to come out to him, that's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah.
That
Oh yeah.
if he's out there, we're in trouble.
Because we said it when we were walking up. Like you said, we didn't think that they would get in that field and just leave. But you look at it and you're like, they're using that field at some point. Like turkeys are definitely using that
Feeling
field.
big about themselves in that field.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. And so 2 times the turkey gobbles while we were sitting down, I felt like. He answered you, Jordan, and he was getting closer. But then he kind of, like they'll do, the last 100 yards, I would say, he didn't gobble, even when you did yelp. And so, every time that happens, you think, okay, this is the start of when this story fades into us not killing the turkey.
Right.
Or this is the beginning of the end in a good way. Yeah. Because, once they come into a certain time, sometimes turkeys will just gobble their heads off all the way in. But then sometimes when they come in, they after a certain point, they're like,
see, in my mind, he had gobbled, like we had the wad of turkeys still, but there was audibly one at the time. I was like, one is broken off because one's gobbling significantly closer, and he was answering Jordan differently. And when he went quiet, I started scanning like crazy because I'm like, something's happening. He's moving like something. I just constantly just scanning back and forth.
Yeah.
Which I did finally, it was the turkey that I saw, but I could not confirm that until you were like, I see him, in a spot where he didn't really need to be, but he was there.
Yeah. So how'd he make the approach?
Well, he goes into the field. Like the
best case scenario.
Yeah.
Exactly what you wanted.
Well, when I saw him, 20 yards out into the field.
Yeah.
Coming towards us.
Yeah.
But I immediately think this is done. Or, he's gonna come in to the edge of the field, gonna want the hen to come to him. He's gonna be strutting out there, and eventually
there's
there's
a barbed wire fence there.
There's a very distinct boundary. We knew exactly where it was, so we felt. It wasn't like a guess where the boundary line was, and he's walking. I see the turkey, and I think he's going to walk right on past us, and when he gets even with us, Lake Pickle is right beside me, and he starts moving around, making racket back there, and I go, Lake, don't move. I can't see him. I just hear leaves moving.
Well,
Lake is making hen noises with his hand.
I got verbally scolded. Clay's like,
Lake was talking about us hunting together so much and kind of being able to do things without talking. Like, he knew I was in a bind. I couldn't yelp from where I was at because the turkey would have definitely came up out of bounds.
It just takes, like, again, Jordan and I are very fortunate to have spent as much time hunting spring turkeys as we have. And I just knew, because, I caught a glimpse of him coming up that fence. And to describe how we were sitting, so if Clay's sitting on this tree and his gun is facing 12 o'clock, then I'm sitting on the same tree and I'm facing 3 o'clock. So I'm facing opposite the field. And I see what's happening. The turkey's walking that field edge, and he's beelining to where Jordan's yelping from. And at that point, if Jordan continues to yelp, it does us no good. That's why Jordan's in a bind.
It draws the
he's just going to walk
just slingshot right past us.
And so I said, I have to do something to bring his attention our way. And I didn't want to yelp because he was too close. If I yelped, I thought he would just boom and just zero right in on us.
Yeah.
And so I knew because of the way I was sitting, I had that giant tree between me and the turkey, and I could move. And so I just and rake the leaves. And Clay thinks,
be quiet, Lake.
And Clay
right
thinks
there.
I don't know what Clay just thought I was moving. Clay's like, be quiet, stay still.
Well, I for some reason, because where I was at, I didn't know if you could see the turkey. And you know how it is when you're watching an animal and you're with another person and they don't see it, but you're like, I'm like, oh, he's looking right at us, man.
Yeah.
And Lake's back there.
Where?
Yeah. And I just assumed you were talking to me. On the way down here, I was talking to my buddy Drew, and he was just, giving me the pep talk of, like, he knows that I'm like the most fidgety guy. I can't sit still at all. And he's like, just sit still. Just don't move. Just don't do that.
It's easy.
And so I'm like, this is running through my head, and I'm like feeling pretty good, but also nervous because I'm in between you and the turkey.
Right.
Sort of. Yeah.
I'm further
are.
south, but I'm closer to the turkey than you.
Safe shot, but
But I'm just leaned out here, trying to be so still, and I hear "Don't move," and I'm like, "What? I can't not move anymore." Like I'm already not moving.
I'm so still right now.
Just not even aware. Yeah.
So it was me that was. Yeah, I was the one doing the moving.
And buddy, it worked.
It did. I had lost sight of the turkey when I knew, because I wanted to wait until I knew that tree blocked me. So right when he went behind that tree is when I raked. And
did
then,
anybody see this happen? I actually think he was like scratching his leg or something. And it just shuffled the leaves a little bit on accident, and now he's the hero of the story.
We'll
because
never
he's
know.
Such a turkey Jedi.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
It sure sounded like
Yeah.
somebody going, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
I just got it moving around back here."
What's the phrase? It's not dumb if it works.
But I heard Clay go, "Wait, he's facing towards us. He's walking our direction." I was like, "Oh, we may be into something."
Yeah. Well, so the turkey basically does a 90-degree turn. He's paralleling the edge of this field, 20 yards into the field.
Yeah.
And when he gets dead even with us and Lake starts moving around back there, the turkey just does a 90-degree turn. And I think he sees our single hen decoy sitting out there. You could see him he just perked up, periscoped, and he saw it in the woods. And he just starts moving towards us. And so there's a barbed wire fence he's got to cross. And I mean, as soon as he crosses that fence, he's 100% legal beagle, fair game for us to shoot. I can't really tell where that barbed wire fence is. I see these random pine treated posts, randomly through there. But it's hard to see. And he's
This
got
fence is like 90 years old, too.
Yeah. And he's got his head down most of the time. Like you think if a turkey crossed under a fence, it'd just be real obvious. Going from a field, crossing the fence, going into the woods. Just the way he was moving, and I'm watching him, and I'm hyper fixated on, I cannot shoot that turkey on the other side of the fence,
Yeah.
And I whispered to Lake something like, he's got to cross that fence.
Yeah.
And you said, as soon as he crosses that fence, shoot him. And He crosses the fence and actually was like a solid 20 feet on our side of the fence.
Yeah, because we let him come even further in.
Well, and Lake said, Clay, he's 100% on our side of the fence. And I was looking at some kind of a stub or something out there that looked like a fence post to me. And I was still just like,
Yeah.
Are we sure? And then I see barbed wire sparkling back behind him, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Lake says 100%.
Yeah.
But I hesitated, and I mean the turkey was inside of 25 yards.
You know what was going through my head while this was happening?
What's that?
When I seen the turkey, because I was not on the fence rails, but I was closer to the fence than y'all were. I was 10 yards off of it in a brush pile, and I see the turkey do the 90 and start coming towards y'all. I was like, I hope they see this thing.
Yeah.
And then when he comes under the fence and keeps on walking, like he's to my right, so he's like 20 yards inside our property at this point. I'm like, they ain't seen this dang turkey yet. He's finna spook.
No, what I told Clay after is I watched him kind of dip, suddenly go under the fence, but I was like, if he's going to keep coming, I'm going to make triple sure he's where he needs to be. And once he came, I was like, we're good.
I was sitting there back there. They bound to be looking out in front of him, ain't he? Seen this thing.
You don't know the tongue lashing we
Jordan starts going, there's a turkey. Ooh, 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 there's a turkey. Ooh.
There's a turkey.
Turkey gobbles. And so the turkeys, we didn't step it off, but I mean, he was probably 23 yards. I don't know.
He was close.
He's close.
Yeah.
Turkey goes down, and it was a big turkey. 11.5-inch beard.
Yep.
One of the spurs was, I'm going to call it an inch.
Yeah.
And it's a great Mississippi turkey.
I mean,
My first Mississippi longbeard.
they don't come much finer than that in these parts.
No,
Yeah.
they do not.
Big old thick beard on that turkey.
Yeah.
Which it was a heck of an experience.
And what we thought, I mean, and who knows? This is mine and Jordan's redneck math, but we were looking and we were like, man, I think because we could still, like in the midst of all that, we heard that wad of turkeys gobble again, still in the bottom. Think that was that single turkey that we heard off by himself when we broke day. That's the assumption.
I think he's just hanging around the outskirts of that flock, because them other brothers in there have probably knocked him out of it, and he's kind of hanging around trying to get the sloppy seconds on the outskirts.
What's that?
Was. Yeah.
He's not doing much anything
Past
anymore.
tense, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was a great hunt. It was a great one day in Mississippi.
Yeah, one more. I mean, you can't. That's what you want. Like as a turkey hunter, I mean, killing them off the roost is great. I take it every time I get the opportunity. But to get on them at daylight and then have to maneuver 2-3 times and them gobbling like that, and that's a turkey hunt. I mean, that's everything.
Yeah. Well, any closing thoughts, Lake?
I am very happy because you came down here last spring with me and Wilbur, and we had like 3 days of monsoon weather and had to send you home without one. And so I was feeling the pressure a little bit. I was like, man, I want to get clay turkey. So I'm very, very happy at how this panned out.
Yeah. Well, it was a ton of fun. Jordan, closing thoughts?
Man, I'm just glad to get to meet y'all fine fellers, and I had a lot of fun this morning, and I hope to do it again one day.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, now that we're going to buy this turkey camp.
Yep.
I guess.
Come on.
Yeah. We'll just make it a yearly thing here at our turkey camp here.
Yeah.
Nah, Isaac, good job, man. People will be able to watch this soon.
Yeah,
on
we
my Instagram.
videoed it. Yep.
Maybe even today.
Shoot.
Like in
Dang.
the future. This is the future Clay.
Future, like when you're listening to this right now, you can go watch that.
Most likely.
No, we'll just say that. So then
100%.
Yeah.
It'll be on my
it.
Instagram.
Yeah, something to hold me accountable.
You don't put the pressure on him.
Yeah.
No nap for you.
That's right. All right. Hope everybody has a great spring.
Nah, do a better outro than that. I hope everyone has a good spring.
Always dream big.
Believe in yourself.
That was it.
Okay. Keep the wild places wild.
Keep the wild places wild, because that's where the turkeys live.
I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the old ceremonial hunting tradition of eating the heart out of the first animal you kill. Meat from those organs are among the most nutrient-rich foods on the planet. You can get those same benefits your ancestors craved via convenient daily capsules from Heart and Soil. Find out more at heartandsoil.co. And remember, use code MeatEater for 10% off your purchase.
Outdoor adventure won't wait for engine problems. Things like hard starts, rough performance, and lost fuel economy are often caused by fuel gum and varnish buildup. Seafoam can help your engine run better and last longer. Simply pour a can in your gas tank. Hunters and anglers rely on Seafoam to keep their engines running the way it should the entire season. Pick up a can of Seafoam today at your local auto parts store or visit seafoamworks.com to learn more.